Next on Worcester News Tonight, facing an aggressive timeline. What could possible delays mean for the future home of the Worcester Red Sox? Plus, cleaning up in the city's downtown. The Worcester Business Improvement District is 2 steps closer to hitting the streets. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The Worcester Redevelopment Authority is in the process of property acquisitions for Polar Park. The city, however, appears to be behind schedule, only reaching an agreement with one property owner so far, which is why a local business writer says the city must get on the right track. Our Cam Jandro's live in Worcester tonight with more. Cam?
Anna, some important dates to keep in mind. The city of Worcester is looking to break ground in July of this year because in 2021 April, that's when the opening day for the Worcester Red Sox is scheduled. Now in 2021, the lease with the Red Sox with McCoy Stadium is also up. So in order to build this stadium in time, the city has to acquire some of these properties behind me. But in the last week or so, they haven't been able to nail them down just yet. Construction of Polar Park is supposed to begin in less than 3 months. Worcester Business Journal news editor Grant Welker says any big delay could become a major issue.
Do you either fall behind on the timetable and they're not able to open by April 2021, or you could say we need to meet that time frame and then they start to run into issues where they need to increase costs.
Last week, the Worcester Redevelopment Authority announced they began the process of acquiring properties along Madison Street, but they were only able to make a deal with one, and taking buildings through eminent domain could be time-consuming.
Any appeals or other snags can certainly back up the project.
The city wanted to have the first 3 properties locked up by April 1st. As of late last week, the WRA still believed they were on track.
Including the Wyman Gordon site and 7 other parcels that we need to compose the footprint for the ballpark construction. So we'll still be doing our groundbreaking in July, yes. Yep. We're on track for that.
Worcester is putting $101 million towards a new home for the Red Sox AAA team. During the city's August announcement, they claimed Polar Park would be self-sufficient, which is why Welker says it's even more important to get on the right timeline.
A lot of us have been focusing on the ballpark. It's also worth mentioning, too, in terms of is this project going to pay for itself, that related development also needs to begin very quickly.
Now, Welker says he does believe the ballpark is going to be built on time. He says with opening day being about 2 years from now, there is some wiggle room for the city of Worcester in terms of building this project. Now, live in Worcester tonight, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Members of Worcester's Joe DiMaggio Little League are concerned the sale of the former Our Lady of Mount Carmel property could end their operations. The online petition has nearly 300 signatures and is hoping to prevent the Little League from disbanding. The ball field is right next to the church, but is part of the property being sold. The church's preservation group says a developer has been chosen and Mount Carmel could be demolished soon. The petition was started when the churches first closed in 2016 and was reopened this week. The Worcester Business Improvement District is set to hit the streets in just a few months. And this week, the executive director who will oversee the operation has been announced. Evelyn Darling is a Clark University graduate and community development expert. She says the area covered by the Worcester BID is about 78 acres in total and includes Main Street, Myrtle Street, Francis McGrath Boulevard, and Foster Street. The BID will add supplemental services to the downtown to keep the area clean, safe, and vibrant.
A lot has happened in the last few years right here downtown, and so the Business Improvement District, we're going to be here to enhance that and make it even more of a destination to bring more people downtown.
The BID also announcing it's hired Street Plus, who will provide ambassadors to monitor the streets every day for 18 hours a day.
Here to help clean the district, maintain the district. They're ambassadors, and so they will be helping people. If anybody needs directions or assistance, they will be here on the street to do that, and they'll be very visible.
The Worcester BID is set to hit the streets mid-May. More retail marijuana shops are opening in Massachusetts, including here in Central Mass. The CCC says in order to produce their products, people need to grow it. Commissioner Jennifer Flanagan says she thinks it's difficult in Massachusetts because there's essentially only one growing season if you're going to grow outside. She says it's important for farmers to get their applications in sooner than later.
Now, I'm thinking you're not going to be able to get a full grow season in, given the fact that I think it's 3.5 months that it takes to grow the product. And so what we're seeing is a lot of people are applying for indoor cultivation. And I'm hoping that over the next year or so, people are going to be able to farm outside.
Flanagan says there are municipal rules to follow, but there is an interest, and they have craft cooperative licenses which allow for multiple smaller farms as part of one cooperative. The ride-sharing app Lyft is working with the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association to encourage people who are impaired to seek a safe ride. Saturday is 4/20, a day which has become associated with marijuana use. So Lyft is offering a $4.20 discount on one ride. You need to use a special code to get that discount, though. According to Lyft's economic report, 63% of Boston market riders are less likely to drive substance impaired due to their availability. The Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association says during busy nights and weekends like this, we urge Massachusetts market residents to choose a reliable ride option to get where they need to go without worry. An expert says Stop & Shop union workers are sending a specific message to their employer. The workers have entered the second week of their strike. It's costing the company millions in revenue, and the workers say the two sides don't appear any closer to an agreement. Our Chandler Walsh explains.
As the Stop & Shop strike is symbolic of the future. The assistant political science professor at Worcester State says it will send a message about labor and workers in a field with growing technology like automation and self-checkout.
The introduction of their Marty the robot cleaner came right at the time where a possible labor strike was being considered. From their perspective, the timing was not conducive to their position.
Now in week 2, Delera says the strike also shows the growth of a union.
People tend to think of the history of labor unions and strikes. We think of people in the trade unions or in the teachers' unions.
Emotions heightened at the Shrewsbury location Thursday when a bus of non-union workers crossed the picket line.
This is the first time they've arrived here. Every day they're getting them into more and more stores.
Beverly Doonan has worked for Stop & Shop for 38 years and says it's a slap in the face.
We're the ones that made this company what it is today, not them.
On-strike workers aren't worried the replacements will bring customers back. They say they feel the community's support.
Police union, carpenters union, painters union, they've all walked with us. All the help that we've been getting through people dropping stuff off.
Delera says estimates show Stop & Shop has lost around $120 million this week. He says damage to the company will depend on how long the strike lasts.
There are instances where stores have suffered some permanent damage as a result of a long, drawn-out labor strike. I'm not certain yet that that would be the case here.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Former Vice President Joe Biden and Congressman Jim McGovern joining striking workers at different locations across the state today. Stop & Shop is the biggest grocery store chain in New England, and the union is hoping big-name politicians will help resolve the strike. The former vice president spoke to hundreds at a rally outside a store in Dorchester. Congressman Jim McGovern joined workers on the picket line at the Stop & Shop on Grafton Street. The supermarket chain says the contract they are offering is fair and is better than most of its competitors. A suspect in the death of a Clinton man is found dead at a prison hospital. 48-year-old Dean Valches was charged in connection to the death of Roger Bemis in February. According to the Worcester County District Attorney's Office, Valches was found dead this morning in his bed at the Lemuel Shattuck Hospital Correction Unit in Boston. The death is being investigated by the state police detectives assigned to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. Millbury police have filed paperwork seeking charges against a substitute teacher who brought bullets to school. Police say a loaded magazine fell out of his pocket in a pre-K classroom. The incident was reported by a fellow teacher after the magazine with 9mm rounds hit the ground. Police say the teacher was escorted out of the building, then willingly went into the station where they suspended his license to carry. The department is pursuing criminal charges, including improper storage of a firearm. The Mueller report is now public. It concludes President Trump did not commit any crimes, but it also does not exonerate him. Closer to home, meanwhile, Congressman McGovern says Congress must take a deeper look into the report and hold the administration accountable. Our Brittany Schaefer spoke with the congressman today and has more.
Sad that this country has to go through this.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's 448-page redacted report is out. Attorney General William Barr says it did not find any evidence the Trump campaign conspired with the Russian government, but Congressman McGovern says the report is incriminating.
It shows that the president is a pathological liar. This report in no way exonerates him for obstruction of justice charges. It says that in the report, and it also, I think, presents a pretty compelling case for collusion as well.
President Donald Trump, on the other hand, is taking the report's release as a victory.
No collusion, no obstruction.
Alex Hindman is an assistant professor of political science at the College of the Holy Cross. He says the full release won't be swaying people's previous opinions of Trump.
This is a strategy that the Trump administration has long sort of pursued, is that you claim victory even when it's not maybe a true victory. And it's not a very favorable picture of the president, even if it didn't rise to the level of criminality. So it's in this odd middle space, and for that reason, I don't think it moves the needle much.
The report, now released to Congress, will allow them to decide the next steps. McGovern says when Congress meets after Easter, there'll be some serious discussion.
There's lots more follow-up that needs to be done, and we're going to have to decide what the next steps are. But no president should behave this way. This is outrageous, that this president thinks he's above the law and that he's not accountable to anybody, and he doesn't feel he's accountable to the American people. I mean, this is just not right.
McGovern also says Barr is acting as Trump's personal attorney and he should resign. In Worcester, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.